Have you
Wait,
been
you
following
said
South Park?
no, I haven't. I was always more of a
Yes.
Family Guy guy, but I really haven't been following South Park that much, and I don't even know like what their yeah, I don't know like what their team is up to at all. I haven't seen them in like years. I did
Yeah,
see the
so they
one
do
about
something different
ChatGPT, I
now.
think, but
Instead
that
of
was the
doing
only
like
one.
a season with like episodes in it, they just seem to put
Yeah,
out these like 60-minute episodes every couple of months or
that's
something like
interesting.
this. So the recent
That's
one was called
new.
the Panderverse. And it's
Uh-huh.
like all about Disney and Marvel and like multi-universes and just lazy writing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's fucking on point. I love it. All right. Hello and welcome to the Vertical Bar Podcast. I'm your co-host, your name here, joining you from Orlando, Florida, to dive into the latest innovations, tech trends, and just talk about the tech industry at large. And I'm here with
And I'm Marcus, your other co-host. Together, we're on a mission to explore, share, and demystify the world of technology.
from our own company, Vertical Bar Media, to the wider tech universe. We're here to delve into all things digital. But enough about us. What's on the topic list for today, Marcus?
All right. Well, this week in tech, we've got Qualcomm, which is a CPU manufacturer mostly for mobile devices. They announced their Snapdragon X Elite processor, which is going to be used for desktop and PCs. Fuck yeah, they're entering the PC market, and it's supposed to be able
Oh
to
yeah.
beat Apple, Intel, and AMD processors. So,
Yeah, it's
the
interesting.
next
Yeah, Apple just dropped their M3 chips this week, and
M3,
we also getting much more news about Windows on ARM.
yes,
So maybe we'll actually see that resurgence of the Windows Phone. Um,
I know, right? Yeah, it's like I think that's why they're a little bit sort of upset for exiting the mobile market is because they have something up and coming when it comes to PC
yeah.
and
Well, I mean,
mobility
they
and
could have just been saving some money, and honestly, that's probably the best route. Hopefully, they can drop something big. Hopefully,
yeah,
Marvel can actually do something. The new report says the She-Hulk episodes were costing up to 25 million an episode,
yeah,
and most of it
which is
was
insane.
rewritten after the fact. And we got Marvel's just in disarray. They want Doctor Doom replacing Kang with the actor that's playing Kang being embroiled in a lawsuit right now. Not a lawsuit, actually like criminal charges and like actually going to
Yeah,
court
I
and
think charges have been filed and he
oh
has to
yeah, no,
now go to
he's
court
going to
at
trial.
some
Yeah,
point.
that's
Yes,
definitely like
exactly. We're already past
proceeding.
that point. Yeah.
Marvel wanted
Jonathan
to
Majors.
Marvel wanted to postpone this, but it was denied by the judge, the
Yeah.
motion.
Well, the good thing for them is they do have other enemies that they have been hinting at. There's some other things that have been going on that could
Yeah.
um be the focus
Yeah, but
now
that's been
going
that's been
forward.
literally
So
everything. That's been Loki. That's been like
yeah,
the oh man. Oh, okay, whatever. I'm not gonna get too far
we'll
into
get to
that.
that. Hey, all right. And our third
What's
topic
the
is going
last
to be
topic?
World of Warcraft is back. I think Blizzard is now owned by Microsoft now, right?
Yes, it is
Yes.
official.
So now the World of Warcraft has a three-part expansion coming out called the Worldsoul Saga. And I ran that through AI, so I hope there really are three parts and it's not just one and Bard's fucking up. But no, there should be a new expansion for WoW coming out. So that's awesome
Yeah,
for
I
people that
mean they
grow
had
WoW.
BlizzCon this week, and they announced
BlizzCon.
pretty much everything for their current IPs at this event. BlizzCon
Cool.
is a huge event for Blizzard specifically, so that's not a lot of
Yeah.
like the Call of Duties or the older IPs that
Yeah.
Activision or King might have.
It's always interesting when stuff like this happens where there's like a takeover or a buyout or someone new in charge, and then you get a released a new announcement or new release following it. And you're like, I wonder how much the new owner or the new person in charge has something to do with something that just because it's like
0%. And actually, for Microsoft in general,
yeah.
they have a very hands-off approach to their
Okay,
developers,
cool.
and that's
I
led
didn't know
to
that.
some market failures, especially with like the Master Chief Collection. I mean, that wasn't a
Hmm.
failure. It's definitely made a lot of money, but it had a lot of problems over the
Rest in
years.
peace, Cortana.
With Halo Infinite, oh yeah, don't even get me started on Cortana.
Wasn't there a Halo TV show recently, or has it even come out yet? But I remember there
Yes,
being
it
some
was
news about it.
terrible. It was terribly
Oh, is that
awesome.
what you're
They
talking
did
about?
all the they did
That's
all the cool
horrible.
action stuff, but it was
Uh-huh.
like yeah, let's just have the Master Chief be a human and like not some
I don't know
cybernetic super
why.
soldier who doesn't have a soul.
It seems like video
Like
game
that was the whole
projects are
point.
always misinterpreted. Yeah, it seems like
Yeah.
whenever people try to turn video game projects into like TV shows or movies, it's always like a critical failure. And it's like they have so much to work with. They have all those games, all that feedback that's already been analyzed. And I don't know how they can't translate that to the screen,
Yeah,
in some way.
that's
It's
what
like
I'm
it's just
saying about
weird how
Star
it's
Wars all the
failure after
time. Like
failure.
the Star Wars movies could be the best movies ever. They could be amazing, but no, they're
But
not.
nay,
They're just
nay.
like, May, I'll never probably watch this movie again.
Hey, so before we get too much into that, let's go into Qualcomm. So I recently read an art or wrote an article, excuse me. I forgot who the original sources of it was, but Qualcomm, yeah, is entering the PC market. So we're going to start seeing, um, we're going to start seeing processors from Qualcomm. And I know these devices, or I'm sorry, Qualcomm is usually making CPUs and processors, and I believe they also make the like 4G and 5G like chips for mobile devices as well. Like they usually have what's called the Snapdragon processor. I'm sure everybody's heard of that. They're in every high-end phone pretty much. One of their main competitors is MediaTek, but Snapdragon processors are usually the best processors out there for Android devices. So I do know they have a couple of processors that are for like Chrome OS tablets. I know Lenovo has one, but it's interesting seeing them thrive so much over the past decade. I mean, they used to be in Windows Phone and Windows mobile devices also. So they've been doing this for a while, and to see them try to compete with Apple, Intel, and AMD is going to be interesting. And not only that, but Intel, they used to be top dog, and now they've been getting beat by Apple and AMD. Now they have another competitor. So like this is gonna really shake things up.
Yeah, it's going to be entirely interesting to actually see
Yeah, it
Windows and
is.
Android compete on like a level playing field. I mean,
Yeah.
if I've seen some rumblings about Windows packages being down to as small as like 2.2 gigs. Which like I don't know if
Like it's
you've
on a DVD
installed.
now, like the old days.
Yeah, yeah, essentially. I don't know if you've installed um Windows lately, but it's required to have like maybe a 20 gig per partition at least.
Yeah,
Like
I didn't know it was
you
that
need at
big
least
now. That's
20 gigs
crazy.
of hard drive free space. And that's not including any of the pictures that you might use or, videos or anything like that. So having something on that small could potentially work on a low-end phone device. But that doesn't have any of the security features. It doesn't have any of the
Right.
AI or like the heavy Windows user features.
Right.
But it's still interesting. I really want to see where I want to see them on a level playing field. I want to see
I
Windows
do
run
too.
on a small device like that, and I'd
I
love to
would
see ARM run on
stably or
a
stable, excuse me.
huge platform, right? Like,
Yeah,
what would Android look like on a computer that's natively running it? I'll tell you what,
exactly.
emulating it on my desktop sucks.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
don't know if Android could expand to the level of usability for like a desktop.
yeah.
You think about like, hey, look, I can multitask with my phone, right? Like I can do two things
Right.
at once. Dude, I have like
Exactly.
10 windows open on my computer right now and like
Exactly. And
processes running in the
it's
background
interesting.
and like, hey, somebody just logged into Steam and like a little pop-up, is that going to make everything slower on my Android device that's running on a computer? I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's
We'll see.
interesting. So like I've tried out Android desktop mode on a number of devices. I've tried out Samsung Dex and Motorola's Ready 4. Those are all based on Android desktop. Um, and I do like the experience, but again, the apps are mostly meant for mobile devices. So they're still trying to find certain like features and this is where a UX comes into play. Like you're trying to find out like where people would want certain things to pop up because for mobile devices, the apps are designed to be touched, not clicked. So you
Oh
have a
yeah.
lot of things
Yeah,
that are
it's
hidden
entirely
or like
different design
gesture
paradigm
based.
too, right?
But I will say that when you have Android apps that use gestures for touch, and you can mimic that with the mouse, then it does become pretty fun. I know mouse gestures aren't really a big thing. It's basically something where you can hold down the left or right button of your mouse, and then once, like wherever you drag the mouse, it now can act as some sort of function. So like I know in the Opera web browser, like if you drag your mouse to the left or the right, you can go back or forward in your browser, right? So it's like there is a way to sort of bring touch functionality to the desktop, but it would require gestures. And I feel like that's the only way that you'd be able to sort of use Android desktop or use some of those mobile mobile software applications or mobile apps in order, like, in just as effective or just as efficient. I can't say it. You would basically need mouse gestures to be able to navigate as quickly with those Android apps as you could on like a Windows computer. You have to add some other layer of navigation.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and that
Have you ever
is
tried mouse
really
gestures
interesting
before?
point. Not generally, but I do have
Yeah.
mouse gestures on my laptop because my laptop is touchscreen.
Oh, cool, cool. Dude, so like if you download
Yeah,
Opera or download a web browser called Vivaldi, they have mouse gestures already pre-installed. So like basically
I'm fairly confident that finger gestures are native to Windows and therefore native to
with the
Edge.
mouse, with the mouse though,
Not with the mouse, but with
that's
like
the
two finger
thing. I know
touch
they
and
are
three
with the
finger
touch.
touch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I know they are with touch, but when you can do those same gestures with your mouse, dude, it's so fun. And I feel like more browsers should be able to support this feature. So, that is one thing that makes Android desktop cool, is that some of their browsers and some of their apps do allow you to basically use mouse gestures as if you're touching. But I guess we can go back to the original point. We got a little bit off topic, sorry. Um, yeah, so I was going to ask you about the Surface Pro X. We were talking about ARM processors and Windows and how that's going to work. Do you remember when the Surface Pro X was announced? Because I think
Yeah.
Microsoft Microsoft made a partnership with somebody to basically make the SQ1 in their Surface Pro X, and it was their first ARM-based processor for Windows. But it didn't go well. It was a shitty experience. People hated it. Apparently, it got better with the second generation of the Surface Pro X. So it seems like since around 2019, 2020, Microsoft
Yeah,
has
it's
been
still
trying to.
it's still lost out on a lot.
Yeah, the Surface Pro X is not a very popular device.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Windows was really like I don't really know if this is the right term, but it wasn't coded for ARM processors. So like if the operating system
Yeah, and
doesn't
it's
really support it and
and
like can't optimize for it, then
yeah, I mean, you can go down that rabbit hole, but ultimately, like, it's there's just two separate things, right? Like,
okay.
it's like, hey, I'm trying to, watch movies on my Apple Watch, or like, hey, I'm trying to edit videos or like stream video games from my Apple Watch. Like that
Hmm.
type of processor in there just doesn't have the level of compute to be able to deal with those types of
Right.
tasks, right? The
Exactly.
level, my processor in my phone is more advanced than the one that comes in my watch, but
Hmm.
ultimately it's not that much more advanced. Like when I'm
Right.
sitting here at my desktop and I have an AMD 5600X, right, with like
Hmm.
six CPU cores in it and 16
Right.
gigs of RAM,
Hmm.
that thing is ready to process some data. Like if I want to give it like 1,000 groups of numbers and I want it to tell me what the difference between all those numbers, my computer would do that in like 2 seconds. A phone would probably take
Right.
minutes, hours, possibly to do. And like when you start leveling up from there, you're talking about servers and supercomputers and supercomputer clusters
Super.
that would be able to do it in like tenths of a second and like even
Right.
faster because they just have more resources to allocate to figuring out those problems that we're giving it. So when we do complex tasks like 3D rendering, like for video games, or if we're doing another complex task like 3D modeling for 3D printing or doing
Mm-hmm.
3D simulation or something like this. That's just things that need to be processed either locally or externally. So we
Right.
kind of have this problem right now where devices look like they're getting better, like our phones and our iPhones
Right.
and everything looks like it's getting smarter, but we're just offloading the processing power onto the cloud. Right. I mean, half of these
Right.
apps you can't use, like you can't use ChatGPT if you're not connected to the internet. Duh, that
Exactly.
makes sense, but it's not like
Right.
here on my computer I have AutoCAD and I can use AutoCAD, right? I
Right.
can't
Mm-hmm.
use Adobe functions if I don't have internet unless I
Right.
like pay
Exactly.
certain subscription prices to be able to access
Right.
that software. And
I
like
actually just bought
that's just kind of
Adobe
where I
Express.
fear that these type of computers, these compute devices that fit in our pockets are going to go. They're just going to become this kind of subscription computing model where
But would
yeah,
that be so
I
bad
don't
though? Because they
particularly
were.
like it. I mean, there's always going to be the use for the computer. Always going to be the use for the desktop that actually does processing on things that need to be processed locally.
Yeah, but then at that point, you can only do those things at home. If we rely more so on internet connectivity and the speed of the connection, then you're able to do some of these things on the fly. It's like I feel like when you have like a busy life and you're trying to explore new things sometimes, like I don't know, I'm in this whole mode where like I'm trying to perfect this process of being able to do just as much work on my phone on the go, like riding the train or riding the bus or just being outside as I could do on my laptop at home or even my desktop. I feel like there are ways, not for everything. Obviously, I can't do anything involving 3D printing or video editing and things like that to like an extensive manner, but there's a lot of other
Getting
things like
closer. It's getting closer. I mean,
just
there are
day-to-day
phone
things,
apps that
right?
do editing videos. Phones are
Exactly.
taking excellent photo and video.
Oh, of
Um,
course, yeah. No,
yeah.
cameras are getting really good on phones, especially iPhones and like the top tier Galaxy phones, the S23 and the Fold. Like, yeah, all those have really good cameras, and those can all do really fucking awesome things. But it's just like I do think to make some of those features more accessible and some of the more productivity things, like being able to work on your phone, it would just be easier for everybody to be able to get those things if it was more based on like cloud. I guess it's basically called cloud computing, right? Where you're using the internet to
I mean,
like sort of
it's really interesting to explore this field because
yeah, because most
it's
people
such a
aren't like
wide
us. Most people,
spectrum. There's
yeah,
like if you look at
nobody
what
has the
Microsoft
desktop
actually offers in so many different areas, they offer like such a wide range. Like one of the things that I've
a
heard of,
lot.
actually, so let me point to some personal experience, right?
Yeah,
So we
sure.
used to work with drones and we'd fly power lines. We'd fly 100 megapixel two cameras like that, 100 megapixel medium format cameras. For those that aren't aware what 100 megapixels is, that's like
Yeah,
a that's 100 billion pixels, I want to say. Mega is billion, so it's a lot.
that's a lot of
Um,
shit.
yeah, so that's a lot of
It's a lot
resolution
of
for a
fucking
camera,
pixels.
right? And it was
Yeah.
actually taking those pictures roughly every 14 seconds, and it
Mm.
would be traveling at about 23 meters per second. And so that generally we would come out with terabytes of data a day generated from our drone taking pictures of power lines, right? And that process, that data needed to be offloaded literally on site. And like for us to be able to upload that to the internet, like using even Starlink or any other things, would just take too long. It would take
Right.
weeks of to upload terabytes of data daily, essentially. So
But
the
what about
solution at that point is
6G?
to
No, I'm
actually just
joking.
put
I'm
it on
joking.
hard drives and ship it
Right.
somewhere because that's the fastest way to actually transfer that data. Um, like snail mail it. And so we think about like what type of edge processing do we need on all these different frames or all these different components, right? Like if we had processing on the drone that was able to take the image data and correlate it with GPS and IMU data, which is actually like was a lot of what we have to do on the processing on the other end.
Hmm.
That could have slimmed down the work a little bit, and then like maybe repackaging the data once we got it back at the ground station. Like there's a thousand ways that we could have used cloud computing or other things like that, but it's just not nearly as efficient as at the level that we were generating data. And that's not even the real thing. Like, look at this deal that's happening that Amazon working with Microsoft, right?
Microsoft.
First of all,
I remember that.
Wild deal. Like, they're
Yeah.
looking at putting 1.5 million Microsoft 365 licenses at Amazon's workforce.
Right. Yeah.
1.5 million Microsoft accounts are going
A
to be
lot
just
of data
created
collection
over
for
the next
Microsoft.
couple of years if this deal actually
Yeah.
goes through. Think about all, like they're essentially doing this to empower their frontline workforce, which is
Right.
packaging up and collecting all the goods that are sent out to the customers. And essentially, you just have to like, imagine 1.5 million data sensors. And that's not even just data sensors. Like each one of those accounts would potentially be connected to multiple devices that have multiple sensors, multiple IMUs, multiple CPUs, multiple everything, right?
Which is
That's
yeah,
just
and
a
again,
wild amount of data. And like that's
see,
not being processed on the cloud. Like that has to be processed locally because of the sheer volume of what that data is actually going to be like.
so recently, of course, we had 5G come out over the last couple of years. It's like before that, though, like you couldn't run a home internet connection on 4G, right? But 5G came out, and basically nobody really noticed the increased speeds on their phones. But now, like you have people, or not people, companies like T-Mobile offering 5G for home internet. And whenever I was during COVID, I got the 5G T-Mobile home internet, and it was faster than the Comcast internet that I had in Atlanta. So it's like,
Oh, let's
what
not even get
happens?
started
So like,
on ISPs, dude. That's just a fucking straight scam right there.
well, no,
ISPs, man.
I just wanted to say, like, what happens when 6G comes out? What happens over the next couple of years where some of these data transfer rates and some of these speeds get higher? Maybe they could be fast enough
Dude,
to sort of
no,
accommodate what you're talking about with the
it,
phones.
it it should already be like that. America paid for that. The ISP stole that money and laid on fiber everywhere.
Fiber. Yeah, no, it's
No.
definitely
All right,
something
moving on to
that.
the next topic. Fuck
Oh
that.
yeah, sure.
I'm
Fuck
sorry.
fiber.
That's a
Fuck AT&T.
whole thing. So moving on away from that nightmare of a
Yeah,
bad
right.
deal,
I
let's talk
know.
about Marvel's bad deals. $25
Cinema
million
money.
for a She-Hulk episode that
That's
no one
crazy, dude.
watched.
That's crazy because I remember when Game of Thrones first came out, I think they had like $100 million seasons, right? That's only
Oh
about
yeah,
10 million
and that's
per
that's the
episode.
dragon that the entire industry has been chasing. Honestly.
Exactly, right. The $100 million season. I think Westworld, their last season, season 4, got 150 million, right?
Yeah.
But some of these other networks who are not HBO are somehow throwing those figures at seasons, and they're not seeing
Well,
the
no, I mean,
number. They're
did
not
you read
getting
this
the.
report?
I skimmed over it. I kind of got the gist of it though.
Yeah, so
At least
basically
I
what they
thought
were
I did.
doing is Marvel was saying, "Hey, here's $50 million for She-Hulk or something,
Hmm.
right?" And it's like they gave it to an executive producer and said go wild, right? And like
Yeah.
the executive producer had absolutely control over it, which like that never happens. Like
Yeah.
you give that right to like Scott Ridley or I just
Ridley
messed up
Scott.
Ridley Scott, right?
Hmm.
Like you give that to James Cameron. Like
Ridley
you
Scott.
give James
Nice one.
Cameron a license to do whatever he wants because he's
Yeah.
earned it, right? But Marvel
Right.
was just giving a license to print money to anybody. And like it certainly shows.
But they
Especially
had the
with
money at the
She-Hulk
time
Attorney at
though.
Law getting an IMDb rating of 5.3.
Wasn't that show review bombed by like a certain crowd? Or was it not?
That's man, we can go off on that end too, but like
I don't
it's
usually
just
support review bombing, and that usually usually when a certain crowd of people review bomb a show, it sort of seems like a like circle jerking or like or just like it just seems like people are sort of doing what's popular instead of actually having a valid critique. I mean, I don't know of that many projects where people like form this crowd and then all get online and then vote something down. It just
Well, no,
it
like
doesn't
I
seem
mean,
valid to
hey,
me.
we can call it review bombing, right? But it's
It is review bombing. I mean,
no,
I
I mean,
think so.
review bombing can be entirely organic and deserved,
I don't think so.
right?
I think there's not
Right?
really
Like,
that many
hey,
times where
I could post something on, hey, how this movie is not good or something, and then like it goes viral and people attach onto it. Like that's completely valid. If something is terrible,
But how often though are the scores that different where the audience one is that low and the critics one is high? Like it's a
on
pretty
Rotten Tomatoes, it
interesting.
happens all the time. Let me
It
look up
really
the Rotten
doesn't.
Tomatoes for
Not
She-Hulk.
that. Not like that. I don't think like that.
She-Hulk Attorney at Law got a 77% average tomato meter and then a 32% audience score. So that's
Yeah,
even
see, that's
lower than the
insane.
55.2 point.
That's that's clearly an audience for me. And I'm not saying you have to agree. I actually like when you don't agree because we get to discuss it. But I'm just saying that's clearly an audience getting together and going after a project simply because they got triggered, it seems like. I just
I can't,
like
I
they
mean,
got
hey, look, I can't blame it completely on that, but like, hey, when you make something like that show that just completely alienates half of the audience, I don't care if their reaction is maybe unproportional, like,
right.
like,
But is
hey,
it really alienating?
let's say we make a show that's just like I hate women for 45 minutes, right? And like it's gonna be review bombed by everybody.
Is it really that
And
though?
we're gonna say that's bad, like that it got review bombed. It's obviously a terrible show to make.
But hey,
And
if you
She-Hulk was a
actually
terrible show to
said
make.
something, if you said something about women that was horrible, that was actually sort of kind of true and sort of has already been like dissected and studied in society, and it turned out to be right, at that point you can probably make that show, right? It's like if they're saying things in the show that like is a problem, right? I don't really. I mean, like so basically, what I got from the feedback on She-Hulk is that it talked about toxic masculinity in the show and it sort of made fun of males that like participate in that sort of behavior. Am I getting that right or am I not? I want to make sure I
I
ask
mean,
that
kind
before
of.
I go
It
on.
just like I don't know. I mean,
Because that's not saying that all like I don't know how you're alienating like I don't know how you're alienating the audience by saying something about a particular group that isn't that like you can still like say
I mean,
bad things about
isn't this
like
the
certain
entire
men
reason why
without
Barbie was
saying it
so
about all
successful?
men. What's up?
Isn't that the whole reason why Barbie was so successful? Is that it was on the nose at the how they were like talking about these masculinity issues. Like it wasn't. I I don't necessarily have. I'm completely toasted right now, and I don't necessarily have the
No,
words or
you're
the
okay.
preparation to kind of like defend this. But I remember watching Barbie, and Barbie has all the same elements, right? Like the toxic
Yes.
masculinity and the patriarchy and all that kind of bullshit. But it's not
Right.
like,
But there were
yeah, it
men
wasn't,
in the movie.
yeah, but yeah, I don't
So
know
that
what I'm
means
trying to
like they
say.
weren't
It's
talking
just,
about like this is the part where I feel like there's a little bit of like
but they talked about it and they addressed like why it's an issue. It's not like, uh, I don't know. I, I don't know how to describe it, honestly. I'm sorry.
look, I'm not in like a hate male, hate anything. I don't think that there's
No,
any
I get it. I
particular
get
sort
it.
of
Yeah.
gender or type of like I'm not into that, but I just don't know why in like this form of art you can't create a story and sort of point out something that has been annoying a certain amount of
I
people or
think
has been a
Barbie did it in
problem
a
with
way that didn't alienate their audience, but She-Hulk did it in a way that did. And regardless of whether or not
in
they
what
were review bombed and like coordinatedly attacked, like
hmm
they both delivered roughly the same message, and one message was accepted and the other obviously was not.
Barbie was satire.
Yeah, it was satire. It was making fun of it. It wasn't like making you feel bad for like being a human.
You see, now you're being dramatic. No show would ever sit there and make you feel bad for being a human. And I don't think people should necessarily like jump to that conclusion just because they heard something in a show that they didn't like. I mean, to say that you've gone through your entire life and you've never met someone or met people like what they were describing in She-Hulk, I think that would be a little weird. Because like I know me as someone that's like,
No, I mean, okay, let
like
me
I've
put
met
it in
people
this
like
way.
myself, that's a problem. So I can
Like
critique those people.
it has that tone, but then it also has like the She-Hulk twerking in it. Like, what is that even?
How is that any I don't understand. Again, I haven't seen the show. I'm only basing this off of what I
See, I haven't
feel
even
like
seen the show either, and
always
we're both like
happens
trying to
with
debate it
this
on why it's so
crowd.
good or terrible.
You know, another show that got review bombed. You know, another show that got review bombed was Watchmen on HBO. It came out in
Dude, I
2019, and
I
it was
tried
review bombed
watching
by a bunch
Watchmen.
of. It was
That was
awesome,
terrible too,
but
man.
no, it
That
wasn't
was
because it
so
addressed
terrible.
issues with racism and just because it had like racist white people in it, like literally the show got review bombed and on Rotten Tomatoes it has like a 40% audience. It's like the same thing happened with Watchmen that happened with She-Hulk. I just don't understand how
Dude,
people can
Watchmen
like,
was terrible too.
no, it wasn't. Watch it on
Yeah.
HBO, or do you mean the movie?
Yeah. Well,
Do you mean the
well,
TV show?
the movie wasn't terrible. I saw that in IMAX when it came out, and that was
Did
good.
you finish
The
it? The
recent
TV show was amazing.
no, it wasn't.
Oh my God. That's
No.
so crazy. Critics gave it like a 90 plus.
Yeah, because it was, I don't know, it felt really lazy at the end. And like it kind of started feeling lazy halfway through, honestly. It's like the beginning was like really hooking, like really captivating. Yeah.
I don't know. I just have to reiterate, I don't support review bombing. I feel like there's something else happening. Whenever there's something that's being review bombed, or whenever there's a team of people that rally together and say, no, this project sucks. It's really bad. But like no one can really explain why. It's just like someone getting offended. I just think that I don't know. I don't usually like stuff like that. Like, I mean, I've had plenty of things happening, or plenty of things happen like in TV shows and movies that sort of like that I could get offended at because I feel like they're attacking
Dude,
me, but like it doesn't take me
we need
away
to
from.
legit make a we need to do this some proper justice, honestly,
No,
on
we
these
should.
debates.
No, we should
Yeah, so we
definitely
should actually
talk
like
about
pick a
this
movie.
more.
We should
Yes.
pick a movie that is like this and then actually watch it and come back and say why it sucked or why you liked it.
Dude,
Why
I
Marcus
would
likes it.
love that. I do. No, don't make fun
Yeah,
of me. No,
because
I love picking apart movies. I love picking apart TV
okay.
shows. I really like them and they have a lot to offer. And yeah. Okay, so here's the thing. This is the last thing I've had. People say they don't like cancel culture, but then like the same people that said they don't like cancel culture like get together and like cancel stuff. I don't know. It's just weird. I'm not
Hey,
seeing
hey, hey!
a
That look,
a
we can't sit here and like point the finger at
okay.
one group that does this because it is
You're right. You're
literally
right.
like
You're right.
so
You're right.
mismatched and mixed of like, dude, man, it's absolutely
You're
wild.
right.
Like you
You're
can
right.
go on,
You're right.
like
And
you can
you told
literally
me that
just
you
see
retired,
like
and I'm sorry.
I literally see it all the time. Just like two liberal, like a liberal and a conservative on Reddit, just
Yeah.
like fighting each other to the death, agreeing on the same fucking point. That's like it's fucking
Okay, I'm
hilarious.
sorry. I'm
I love
sorry.
it.
I'm sorry, Jared. I'm sorry, audience. I'm sorry, Jared. But hey, we will revisit this at a later time. I do think $25 million for an episode was a little too high, and I do think that like yes, maybe the money should have gone to something a little bit more, someone that's a little bit more like proven in the industry. Yes, I don't know. That's it. Let's move on to the next topic. World of
Well, with that,
Warcraft.
hey man, World of Warcraft is getting some new content, and
Did you play that game back in the day?
this was I was not a Warcraft player. My sister was, and she actually works for Blizzard now, so that's
She
kind of
does.
hilarious. Yeah,
What does she do
she
for
she
them?
works
If
on
you don't mind
the
me asking.
Hearth. Yeah, she's a producer on the Hearthstone project.
So she's now getting paid by Microsoft. I mean, I guess that might be a little bit of a
Yeah,
personal
so that's
question, but
I've
that's
talked to her a
cool,
little bit
dude.
about it. The transition is going to be a long and arduous process, honestly.
Gotcha. I know. Okay. All right. Look your level. Yeah. So World of Warcraft, I was never really a huge fan of the game. I thought the movie wasn't that bad. I know the movie, I think, broke even. I think it was like $150 million budget, and it made about $300 million.
Yeah, I remember seeing it.
Um,
I think the
and
movie
it got
was
like
really good.
right at 60% on Rotten Tomatoes, I think. So it was like sort of average, I guess, for people. But I was always more of a Final Fantasy 14 player. I thought that WoW would be extinct by now and they would come out with a second version. World of Warcraft 2, I know that that's been something that has been rumored for some time, but I guess they don't want to do that. It seems like when an MMO becomes popular nowadays, instead of coming out with a sequel, they sort of just milk it for all the money that it's worth. I know Final Fantasy 14 is sort of doing the same thing. I think that came out back in 2012 or 2014, and they just announced a new expansion as well, which is interesting that they both announced one like weeks apart. But I think those two are the most popular MMOs nowadays. And what was that other one that just recently came out? Baldur's Gate 3?
Yes.
How's that doing? Is
So
that still
Baldur's Gate.
fun? Or did that sort of like what do you
So Baldur's Gate 3 is
what's funny about that?
more about a like co-op
Oh, okay.
dungeon
So it's
crawler,
not like a
maybe.
group effort. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean it's co-op, so it can be. There's like actions. It's more D&D like. It's not necessarily MMO, which is that massively
Is it
multiplayer
more like
online
a Guild
game.
Wars? Yeah. Gotcha.
No, not so much.
Well, never
Yeah.
mind. Okay, well, never mind. I thought maybe that was the new King, but I guess it's not in the same genre that I was talking about. But yeah, no, it just seems like um, there really hasn't been a new MMO that's really come out recently that's been very popular. And
Well,
these
I'd
two
actually
WoW and
counter
Final
that. Have
Fantasy.
you played Lord of the Rings, or have you seen anything about Lord of the
Oh
Rings
yeah, that's back.
online?
Wait,
That is
I
actually
remember
like
when that
super
came out.
popular.
I remember when it came out and I tried it, and then it went free to play. So like
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was still out.
Let's see, mmostats.com.
Yeah, look it up.
So let's see. Minecraft is the most popular MMO, of
That's
course.
considered it an MMO? I didn't realize that.
I
I
guess.
still don't really. I mean, I still need to get into Minecraft.
I
Microsoft
mean,
is buying up
I guess
everything
I
these
see some of
bastards.
these. I don't know what this website is ranking. It has Star Wars: The Old Republic on it.
Oh
I
shit!
don't think anybody plays that game or Anthem.
I don't know what Anthem is. I used to love Aeon, but that fucking got fucked.
Yeah, all right. How about some
But Final
RuneScape?
Fantasy 14 is awesome. I can't wait to get some video content up
Yeah,
about that
that
game.
says it's number 4 behind Minecraft.
Wait, so Final Fantasy 14 is 4 and Minecraft is 3?
Number
Oh wait, so where's WoW
So
at?
Minecraft, World of Warcraft, Dragonflight,
The
Path of
fuck is
Exile is number
Dragonflight?
3, Final Fantasy 14 Online,
Yeah.
Guild Wars is number 5, Guild Wars 2 is 5, and
Gotcha.
then RuneScape is number 6 on this
Good
random
God.
MMOstats.com.
I can't believe RuneScape is still around. That was one of the first original ones. I remember playing that shit back in middle school. Like 03. God damn,
Right?
that's crazy. I can't believe that's still a thing. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
so
don't know if you watched any of the other announcement trailers for BlizzCon, but they dropped a bunch of
no, I
new
didn't.
content. Pretty much every single one of Blizzard's IPs they dropped new content for.
What about
So World
StarCraft?
of
StarCraft and
Warcraft
Diablo is
for
supposed to be good.
yeah, well, let's hopefully they can do some redeeming on Diablo 4.
Oh no.
Yeah, so they just had I think they're starting their second season right now. Significant player drop in at the mid first season, like alarmingly so. Even my dad was playing it for a while, and he
Really? That's
back
cool.
because it's just
My dad
like
doesn't
you
play
get to a
video
certain
games.
point and there's like no point in playing anymore. And he even Blizzard devs was like, just go outside and touch grass or something. Like, well, fuck you. I want to play video games.
Yeah, no, I do eventually want to get into those games. I know they're really cool, but so basically in those games you are controlling. Like I'm more used to like Final Fantasy stuff where you're controlling just a couple of characters. In those games you control entire armies, right?
And what?
In like Diablo and like StarCraft and like Warcraft,
Diablo's
not World of Warcraft, but
let me pull up here. But Diablo is a single player, but also
oh, it is.
multiplayer, co-op.
Gotcha.
Um, it's like a top down, not top down, but they're like kind of pulled back a little bit, and you like move your character around the map. By like pointing and clicking.
Cool.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. No, yes, I do.
Okay.
I
So the other
remember
ones
that
I
sort of
mentioned
navigation.
were Overwatch is going to get a refresh. Man, it's
Hmm.
rough. I don't. I have some thoughts about. um, I have some thoughts about Overwatch and Overwatch
I
2.
haven't played either.
Not the best of thoughts.
Really?
Yeah, dude, I got into Overwatch when it started and it was incredible. It was absolutely fun. And Overwatch really pulled onto this like esports, like competitive gaming scene kind of thing.
Hmm.
And they just absolutely killed the casual player.
Yeah.
And like
You said they have
there's just
absolutely killed the casual player.
yeah, there's
Basically,
absolutely
whenever you
no
log
way
on,
to
it's basically.
casually play Overwatch. If you don't play with a team and you don't play regularly, like, good fucking luck. You're about to get trampled by some people, like some pros.
Is the esports thing still as big as it used to be? I know like it was a huge thing back in like 2018, 2019. I know people have been doing it more, especially since COVID when it took off. But like, is the video game market still moving in that direction? And this is a
I
serious question for me because I haven't really been involved lately and I really want to know. And the only reason why I'm asking is I remember when Microsoft bought out Mixer and they fucking killed it.
right.
Like instantly.
Uh,
That was funny as hell to me. I mean, I know it's horrible for gamers, but that was just a really interesting move. And, yeah.
yeah. I don't know what to say. What was the question again?
Sorry, I was just asking. Like, I know esports and like Twitch and all that stuff got really big.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Oh man,
is
that's
the
it.
video game market still moving in that direction, or like
Hmm.
are we sort of going back to how things were before that slowly?
Things are never going to go back the way that they were. Video games trending onward and upward forever, right? Like adoption's growing.
I just don't really see many
Diversity
videos on social
diversity of
media
gamers
anymore.
is growing. Like more people are playing video games than ever before, and more people will
Gotcha.
continue to play video games in the future.
Right.
Competitive wise, I don't necessarily know. It's really hard to like monetize gameplay.
Yeah.
Um, not like sports football, right? Like it's it's different.
Yeah.
But there are still significant revenue streams for non-competitive players, and then I think that still leads into some competitive stuff. But it's really, really, really interesting. I don't know. Did you read that stuff about Nintendo's unofficial cancellation of fun?
Wait, what? No, no, no. Explain this. Sorry. I don't even
Yeah,
know what
so
fun is.
Nintendo last week announced that any unofficially licensed events will now have like a bunch of significant rules. And most of those rules are like you can't sell merch, you can't sell food, you can't sell things. You can't advertise. You can't charge more than like the cost of the event to set up, right? Like you can't profit off of it in any way. Which essentially is just like going to decimate the community gaming scene for these games, for Nintendo games, for like Smash Brothers. Like
I
think
was going to
about
ask, how is this going to
Smash
affect
Brothers
Smash
tournament.
Brothers, my
Like
favorite
bars
Nintendo
can't do
game?
Smash Bro tournaments now. Like I can't have a
But
trivia night and Smash Bro tournament at my bar that I own. And the video
yeah.
games that I own,
Do you
like
think
I
it has
can't play
anything to
them
do with
here.
like? Do you think it has anything to do with that Mario movie making all that money, and now Nintendo sees that there's a really big, like a bigger chance
No,
to make more money
I think it's a core
than to
fundamental pillar of Nintendo to just be dicks
be like
about their
Apple?
IP. Right? Like
Gotcha.
yeah. Well, I mean not so much. It's it's really interesting story to see how Nintendo has grown as a company,
Right.
how they've kept a hold of their IP and they haven't let it go. But traditionally speaking, companies that come from Japan are very like possessive of their work product, right? Like they own it.
Right.
They've put blood, sweat, and tears into it. It is theirs, and it will not
Crafted
be
it.
anybody else's.
Right.
I think those emails released by that were leaked recently about Microsoft wanting to buy Nintendo is like the funniest thing I've ever heard, because
Yeah.
Nintendo will never sell. Nintendo
Right.
will die in a fiery explosion before they sell.
And they have Super Smash Brothers. I don't know why
True
no
that.
one will make a game like Super Smash Brothers. It's kind of annoying that like no other fucking studios or video game studios or video game
Probably
companies will
because it's some
make.
stupid patent that Nintendo has. Like, hey,
Well,
why can't you have mini games and loading screens? Oh yeah, because Nintendo owns the patent and won't license it to anybody.
there was an anime sort of games. It was called Jump Superstars, and it was for the original Nintendo DS. And it was basically like Super Smash Brothers, but it was with all the anime characters like Naruto and One Piece and all that shit. And they came out with the second one, but it was only in Japan. And America, we never got a version here. This is the only other game that, yeah, it was called Jump. I remember Jump used to be like a magazine for like anime news and stuff like that. And used to have like previews for like some of the upcoming issues, or I don't know what they call them for anime, but chapters, or you know what I mean, new additions
Yeah.
to the story. But like I think that magazine is no longer a thing. But yeah, but they had a video game. So like I don't know, I just wish more studios would make something that's a little bit more where you can have like all those people on the screen at one time. I don't really like I like Mortal Kombat, and I like all the the Tekken stuff and the Marvel vs. Capcom, but like there needs to be more like group play. Like Super Smash Brothers is just like such a unique experience. I just wish other developers could come out with something similar to that with other characters.
Yeah,
I don't know.
and
Maybe you're right.
I think that's ultimately like what it comes down to is that that Nintendo just makes good games. Like
Yeah,
they have
very
a
unique.
formula, they figured out something, they have the IP that's like just unbeatable, and that's it. Game over for them, you know?
Yeah. Well, hey, maybe one day we'll be able to see those characters. Yeah, no, but I do hope one day we get a Super Smash Brothers movie. I do think that the recent success for Mario, or whatever the fuck it's called, Super Mario. I haven't seen the movie yet. I really need to catch up on stuff. But I'm glad that movie made. I think it was $1 billion movie, but I'm glad it was successful, because I really do think they're gonna build up to like a Avengers style Super Smash Brothers movie eventually, and that's gonna be fucking awesome. Hopefully they haven't killed the comic book movie, but we'll see.
I just need some new interesting content, like
Yeah.
I wish that Marvel would have spent $50 million in exploring how to make good content.
Dude, have you seen Moon Knight? I haven't yet, but I think that
Yes.
may sort of. So is that good? Because I really like Moon Knight as a character.
I liked parts of it.
Oh man, I was hoping you'd say you loved it.
Yeah, I liked parts of it. It's for me, like one of the weirdest things was like they did a really good job of portraying the Moon Knight's like alternate personalities, right? Well,
Hmm.
most of the time though, it's just like with Mark and they're like he's going through something and then he just like falls asleep or blacks out. And then all
Hmm.
the cool stuff happens and they don't show it and then he wakes up.
Yeah.
You know,
So there's not much action going
like
on.
we kind of saw most of the show through the boring personality and like we got little peaks of the exciting personalities popping out, but
Yeah.
like not enough to really make it interesting.
Gotcha. Interesting.
And that's kind of what
Maybe
I
it's
look
just a
at like a
preview for
lot of
what's to come.
shows. Like I feel like they just kind of touch on like little really cool things and then just
Yeah.
almost completely ignore it. Like what was that movie that we were watching the other night?
Uh, what was it about?
Blue Beetle.
Blue Beetle, yes.
Oh yeah. Okay, so here's a perfect example of encapsulating why Marvel or that was DCU or just
Yeah.
why all
Yeah,
these
that was
movies
DC.
just suck in general, right?
It's the
So
first movie in the new DC
They're too
universe.
yeah, it's the
family
first
oriented
movie,
for
it's
me.
the first shitty movie in the new shitty DC universe.
Yeah, right. That we
Okay,
can agree
so the Blue
on.
Beetle takes over, right? Not only is it like just George Lopez running around the house, which actually I kind of found funny. It's funny, but like
Cool.
literally
That's
the
good.
main character is getting alive by this like Blue Beetle that's like ripping him apart and taking over. And like people are just in the house like screaming at it like, "Oh my God, stop. What's going on?" Like,
That's how
okay,
Black Adam
whatever.
was. That's what pissed me off about
Yeah,
Black
right? And
Adam.
it's just like
It
it's so
was too
silly.
much
It's so
screaming
nonsensical.
family. Yeah,
Like
I want to
it's
see
like
something.
that scene wouldn't even work in a comic book, right?
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
Like that's part of it, right? Okay, so let me go on a little bit further with it because it gets worse. So not only is he like being ripped apart and like burned and like his clothes are being ripped, whatever. The suit finally takes him over, and then it shoots him up out of the house. And then the suit's like pressurizing for space travel, and then it's like, oh, he's in space, and oh, he sees the cool Earth. And I tell Dan, it's like, guarantee you, this is the only time he's ever going to go to space for anything. And it was like the first, first act of the movie. He goes to space, and there's special dialogue in the movie telling you, "Hey, this suit is pressurized for space travel," and like all this other stuff. And it's just that's never going to be heard from again.
Well, it could be. He is the only character that's going to be moving on to the next version of the DCEU. Or I
Okay,
guess it's now the
but like,
DCU.
hey, look, for just like for good writing, like you do something else. Okay,
Yeah, of
like,
course.
hey,
Yeah.
I give you a little bit, I give you a little bit of a treat of something, and at the end, you get something spectacular, like a space battle or something, right?
Right.
Like that's how like the movie should like be dropping little breadcrumbs for us, and so that we pick up something at the end and we're excited. Like that's how
Right.
movies generally work well. But what they're doing is like they're throwing the kitchen sink at us, and then they're throwing the dishwasher at us, and then they're throwing
Woohoo.
the fridge at us, and it's like, hey, well, why didn't you make a sandwich? Like it's
That was good.
after
No, no,
after end games,
that's
like all
good.
the battles are just so spectacularly gory
Yeah.
CGI stuff that it's just not interesting. It's
Yeah,
just
no, I
complete
do think
CGI
action
gore.
I do think action in
That's what I
comic book
hated about
movies has
that's what I hated about Hawkeye too. It was just like all that stuff was just absolute CGI gore. Like I get that Hawkeye's such a great character, such an accurate character or whatever. Like he shoots so accurately, but like
yeah.
some of the stuff is just like absolutely no.
Well, I can't say that about Hawkeye, but I do think you're probably going to be right about the recent DC movies. For me, I feel like no one can do action in DC as well as Zack Snyder, and they were wrong for casting him out. If you go back
Yeah,
and you
well,
watch the original
he made a
Man of Steel
4 hour
movie,
movie and like that should have just been a TV series.
dude, have you seen Man of Steel? Have you seen the fight between Clark or Superman and the other fuck I was gonna say the other aliens, the other Kryptonians, whenever they come down to Smallville and they're all battling in the IHOP
Zod?
and they're
Oh yeah, Zod.
and Zod.
Yeah,
That's
that
one
was
of the
probably
most
one of my favorite
beautiful.
Superman
It was a
scenes.
beautiful display of godlike powers in like the modern day society and like a realistic take on like it almost looked like a live action version of Dragon Ball Z, which should be impossible to make. But for some reason, other than Zack Snyder and the Russo brothers, who obviously did the Winter Soldier, Civil War, they did Infinity War, and they also did Endgame. Seems like a lot of these showrunners or directors can't do comic book action the right way. Like, it's got to be some hard hitting shit, and it's got to be people who seem like
Yeah,
they
see, like
actually choreographed the fight.
one of the things that kind of hit me about Endgame too was like when they
Hmm.
brought on like all those characters, like literally hundreds and hundreds of
At the same
cameos
time, right? Yeah.
at the same time. It felt like absolutely nothing. There was absolutely no significance to it. And there wasn't, because there was literally just hundreds of them, and like how could I as a single viewer like really attach significance to that?
For
You're supposed to
Endgame,
rewatch
Yeah.
it.
because then
I
Captain
like that about
America
Endgame.
finally says assemble.
Yeah.
That
Well,
was
not only that, but I think you have to watch these movies multiple times. I'm gonna have to disagree with you about that because I do like the Endgame scene where everyone comes back and everyone charges Thanos and his fucking stupid army at the same time. I thought it was cool how they sort of went through the battle with the camera and like switched off between different characters, and I thought it was cool that Falcon like shoved his Falcon wings into, I forgot the big guy in the Black Order, but like I think stuff like that's cool. Like I thought it was cool when in Civil War when a Captain America's team and Iron Man's team went at it with each other for 20 straight minutes, and it was just constantly going back and forth.
Have you ever
I
seen
still
that cut of the Breaking Bad in that scene?
No,
Oh.
I have
I
not.
gotta send you that link. But yeah,
Sure.
I think that's all we got there. Well, that's all the time we have for today on the Vertical Bar Podcast. As always, it's been a blast exploring technology with all of you.
Oh shit, that's me. Indeed, it has, Jared. And remember, folks, if you want to learn more about the topics we discussed, check out the description with links to our socials. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast for more tech adventures.
Absolutely, Marcus. We'd love to hear from you. Reach out with your questions, ideas, or just to say hi. We're on all social media platforms as Vertical Media.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and remember, the only constant in technology is change.
Nice.
We did it.